let's talk about some mysterious and unnoticed changes to Geometry Dash that came with update 2.2, ranging from small things like a typo fix to major bug fixes that made the game playable again. So here's my list of the unnoticed changes that happened to Geometry Dash after 2.2. Get ready guys, because this list is gonna be an insane one. Back in 2.1, if there was an icon that was obtainable through the shops, it would not tell you which shop you can get it from. However, in 2.2, the logos for these icons have been changed and it now specifically tells you which shop you can buy it from. This is a very good change because otherwise you don't really know what the heck is going on, especially because Scratch Shop and Potboard's shop are hidden at the beginning and you had no idea that there were other shops besides this one. Another thing that I find absolutely ridiculous is that the Twitter logo has actually been changed, and this actually has a really interesting explanation behind it. So the last time the Twitter logo was changed was in 2012. However, RobTop has always used the 2010 logo. And we know this because we can see the Twitter logo in his game called Boomlinks. And he himself has said that he has taken a lot of textures from Boomlinks into Geometry Dash. And as a result, we always had the 2010 logo of Twitter. However, in 2023, the Twitter logo has been changed yet again. And it seems like Geometry Dash was stuck one generation behind because RobTop did update that logo to the newer version of the old one. A very sneaky move from RobTop right there. Another thing that was changed from 2.1 to 2.2 was the coming soon I button. It used to say something about the story, but now it officially says that you are on 2.2, which is just great to see. Another thing that is really funny is that in 2.1, RobTop has misspelled the word subtract with subtract. However, in 2.2, it seems like he completely gave up and just said sub, which I think stands for subscribe, which is why you should subscribe right now so you don't miss out on any new content. I think that's what he meant with it. Now let's transition into some things that were changed from the beta version of 2.2 to the final version of 2.2. So as you guys know, RobTop has hosted a lot of icon contests where people can draw their own icons to have them included into 2.2. However, a lot of these icons were changed because according to RobTop, he had to redraw a lot of these icons, if not all of them. And another change that we saw happen was when RobTop streamed back in 2020, he showed us the Earth shards, which now have a completely different look than they looked back in 2020. And also he was scrolling through all of the gauntlets and we saw the Witch gauntlet, which now has a completely different design. Not really completely, but it's just changed a little bit, so yeah. Now let's quickly go through some things that were supposed to be in 2.2. So you know this picture? Oh my god. It was supposed to announce the official 2.2 upcoming main level. However, that level actually got delayed to 2.21 and yeah, that image is completely invalid now. Also, you know how in 2.1 there's this very cool story around the game where this monster tried to destroy the world of Geometry Dash? RobTop has said that this story is gonna continue in 2.2. However, yeah, I have no idea where that is. And also the map has been delayed to 2.21, but RobTop did actually share a lot of images from the map. And they were from like back 2019, so looking back at them now, like 5 years later, it is very cool indeed. Before RobTop used to stream, he used to record things on his phone and post them on the Discord server. He once posted this menu shader, which basically pulses to the music, and I can say for certainty that I was really vibing with that song. But now we don't have that option anymore, so that is not that very cool. And I would love to have these things again in 2.2. I know these things were probably made in the main menu just for testing, but it would be really nice to have like an option to enable these shaders again so they can bounce with the song and we can vibe again in the main menu. In 2.1, in order to upload a level, you have to verify it first. However, in 2.2, if you wanted to upload a level as unlisted, you can actually upload it without having to verify it. You see these buttons in the editor? Well, as 2.2 added a few more for pixel art and animations, and as a result, there was a chance that if your display was pretty small, these buttons would go out of the screen and you would not be able to click them. And so RobTop had to compact these lists to reduce the amount of buttons, so that they fit on every screen. This resulted in these blocks not having their own list, but rather being moved to this list with all the normal blocks. Another thing that almost nobody picked up on is that you see how there are these pulsing blocks in 2.1 that you can place down like this question mark? Well, in 2.2 you can place such blocks that do not pulse. Like, why could we not just use the same thing but just disable the pulsing somehow? That should be possible, probably. a very simple yet very effective change that nobody seems to be talking about. Since the release of Geometry Dash, the game has been using the format RGB 4444 for its textures, meaning that the gradients and such things look absolutely terrible. In 2.2, however, RobTop changed the formatting to RGB 8888, making all of the textures look super smooth. Here you can see a side-by-side comparison, and this is mostly noticeable if you scale the gradient block in 2.2 versus in 2.1. And now every gradient in the textures looks really smooth. And another thing is the optimizations. RobTop has worked a lot on making the game more optimized. He has multiple times said that the game runs much more smooth in 2.2 versus in 2.1, and that all of the levels load much faster in 2.2. And some of these optimizations happen to move triggers and rotate triggers. Another thing that went unnoticed is that the restore button has been removed. This button was added in 1.9, and it was supposed to restore all of your data in case you lost it. But now we have a saving system, so we don't need that button. Now let's slowly transition into the bug fixes that happened during the development time of 2.2. So in 2.1, if you selected two identical objects like these collision blocks, then there would be no edit objects button, even though they both have the same attributes. And 2.2 came out with this awesome system that allows you to edit two triggers that are very similar, and this especially is really helpful for area triggers because you can select two completely different area triggers and edit some of the attributes because all area triggers have very similar attributes. In 2.1, if you had a portal in the editor and you rotate it slightly, the hitbox will not change. However, in 2.2, this is fixed. If you've ever had this bug where you select a custom font and then place this counter object and that object just didn't follow the selected font, well, in 2.2 it does. You know this bug in the treasure room where if you go into one shop and then exit, it's gonna leave you off in the wrong page? Well, this is no longer the case in 2.2. Also, the first letter of the spike gauntlet in 2.1 was not a capital letter, and this is finally fixed in 2.2. Like, I was wondering for so many months why 2.2 is so fun to play, and now we finally know. In 2.1, there was this strange bug where if you place an animation block and animate this monster, for example, and then place a start position after that animation block, it would just not register anymore. But this is no longer the case in 2.2. And there was also this very strange bug in practice mode back in 2.1 where you could click an orb twice after you respawn from a checkpoint. And that could have made so many things possible in practice mode but not in normal mode. And SD Slayer has actually made a whole video making an impossible level in normal mode but possible in practice mode back in 2.1. However, this is no longer the case in 2.2. In 2.1, there was this really weird bug where if you hit a red pad, it's gonna show this circle effect. However, it has the wrong color. It used to be pink, but now finally it's... Oh my god. What? It's yellow? Are you kidding me? Oh my god, RobTop is the biggest savage I've ever known. You know this really annoying bug in 2.1 where if you had a start position and play from it and then restart, all the triggers that are on the same x-axis of that start position will just re-trigger for some reason, which leads to this really annoying bug. Have you ever wondered why Geometry Dash 2.1 is just so much different than 2.2 and it just feels so much better in 2.2? Well, now I figured out why. In 2.1, if you clicked on the settings and clicked on how to play and then quickly clicked escape and then clicked again on how to play, you can basically open that interface infinite times. However, this is no longer the case in 2.2, which is awesome. Finally, bro. A lot of Geometry Dash mobile players were simply not able to open the game in 2.1. However, that's no longer the case. So that is very, very cool. Also, RobTop has multiple times said that there's gonna be a replay system for our own levels, so that if you play a level, your inputs are being saved and then you can replay that level with the same inputs. However, that's nowhere in 2.2, bro. What the hell, bro? Also, he has said that for your own created levels, you're gonna have the ability to enable no clip in normal mode. However, yeah, I don't really... What the hell, bro? You see how cursed this UFO in 2.1 was? It basically has these missing teeth. But in 2.2, that's still the case. Yeah, now I know why it's unplayable. You know, when we were in 2.1 and we really wanted to have this feature of being able to see the current color in the HSV pop-up, well, in 2.2 that's not the case, but there is a much better approach for it. So instead of just seeing the color, you can actually see the color live while you are editing, which I think is a much better feature than just having a color right there. Double eruptum for this one. Double eruptum in the comments, I said. What are you doing? Okay, but this is the next one is probably an L eruptum for real. Eruptum has said that there is gonna be a new difficulty above demon, which is gonna be called Nepesta, but that's for some reason not the case in 2.2. Okay, we're almost done, unfortunately, but let's move on to some things that were supposed to not be in 2.2, but were included into 2.2. So for example, the scale trigger was supposed to come out in 2.3, but 2.2 got so large that Robtop just decided to add the scale trigger, and I'm pretty sure that took actually a lot of time for him, because we can see that he ran into a lot of bugs with this trigger. And another trigger that was supposed to come out after 2.2 was the SFX trigger. And in 2.1, Robtop refused to add more than one single song per level, but for some reason now we can add 11 songs. So yeah, that is a W raw for real. Before I end this video, I want to tell you a quick fun fact. Did you know that Robtop only drew one of all the swing copters in 2.2? If you exclude the default one. That is absolutely crazy. But this has been it for this video. Make sure to slap that like button and also make sure to subscribe so you have the best luck for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I love you everyone, and I will see you guys in the next video.